All right. Let's take a look at this. We are given two equations here and asked to solve each of them. There are a lot of minus signs up here. Honestly, I just kind of pulled two randomly. So we're going to start with the left one, this one over here. How can we go about solving this? You can do that and put it, and did what with it? The quadratic formula? Or did you factor?
Probably gonna factor.
Okay.
I haven't really gotten
Hadn't got quite that far. Okay.
because I was staring at it and I was like, I don't remember how to use this.
I will put up here the quadratic formula in case you want to use it. X equals opposite of b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So that's the quadratic formula. If you want to use that, you absolutely can. You do not have to, at least not on this first one, because it will factor. Whoa, that was not what I meant. Go back. There we go. The way we can check and see if this factors is that's when we use our X frame. This guy. Those are really skinny pen marks. Let me try and make that a little bit. A little bit better. A times C at the top, B at the bottom. What's going to go at the top of the little X frame? Negative 20. What goes at the bottom? Negative 9. Let's see. So since, what was I going to say? Yep, 5 and 4, I was like, that was my first thought too, but if we do 5 and 4, it's not going to multiply to make negative 20. It would multiply, or it wouldn't add to be negative 9, it would add to be negative 1. As I say, we could try 10 and 2, but that won't do it.
I just tried.
Okay, so I don't think we actually can factor this one. Oh, snap. So if we can't factor it, what can we do?
Straight to the box.
You can go straight to the quadratic formula, absolutely. If you want to try and do like the vertex form, complete the square version, you can. But when we have an odd number in the middle, it makes it really gross and fractiony. So I would say probably let's go quadratic formula. Meaning, I do need to know my A, B, and C values. What's my A? 1. What's my B? Negative 9. What's my C? Negative 20. When we do our quadratic formula, we always start by doing our discriminant first. That's this guy under the radical. We need to do this piece first. The b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to take my negative 9 squared minus 4 times my 1 times negative 20. This gives me my discriminant. Negative 9 squared gives me what?
81.
81. Minus 4 times 1 times minus 20.
80.
Yeah, we actually went with a plus 80. So this negative sign and this negative sign wind up canceling each other out. So we get plus 80. So what's the value of our discriminant? 161. So what kind of roots are we going to have? 2 real roots. Are they going to be pretty or are they going to be decimally and gross?
Pretty.
How do we know decimally and gross? Because this is not a perfect square. So we're going to have a square root in it, and it's going to be square rooty and decimally and gross. If this is a perfect square, we will get nice tidy numbers. Or at the very least, fractions that are not full of square roots. So let's finish filling in our quadratic formula. Our x equals the opposite of b, so the opposite of negative 9, plus or minus the square root of our discriminant, so this guy, 161, over 2 times our a, which is 1. And what we can do is we can type this into the calculator to get our simplified radical form. And you can type it in just like that. You can notice that the opposite of -9 is in fact just 9. And 2 times 1 is 2. But in fact, there's nothing else that can simplify other than those two little pieces. So our simplified radical form, we can just write it as 9 plus or minus the square root of 161 over 2. And if you type it in the calculator, it straight up will give that back to you. It'll just switch which side the 9 is on.
Yeah.
If we need the decimals, we type it into the calculator and have the calculator do that. But I'm fine with the simplified radical form answer, just being this. Boop. All right. Very similar grab on the next one. What are we going to do to solve this one? Same kind of thing. I always recommend checking to see if it will factor, because sometimes they do, even if they don't look like it. But we can always check. So we take our a times c, 5 times -1 gives me -5. B is -1. Is there a pair of numbers that will multiply to make -5 and add to make -1?
No, because 5 is a prime.
5 is a prime number, so its only factored pairs are 1 and 5. And there's no way that that has a difference of 1. So this one is, again, not something we can factor. So we're going to do the same process. Oh my gosh. What? But we are going to have different values this time, because this time my A is what? 5. And my B is what? -1. And my C is what? -1. So we're going to follow those same processes. I'm going to do my discriminant first, where I take my B and square it, -4 times A times C, which is -1. So -1 squared gives me a 1. -4 times 5 times -1 gives me a plus, what? 4 times 5 times 1? 20. So the value of our discriminant is going to be what? 21.
But that's not a perfect square.
It is also not a perfect square. I'm going to move the 21 down a row just because that's too smushy. So when you are doing, that's not the laser pointer. There we go. When you guys are putting this in the calculator, these parentheses, while they do not feel important, they are critical. If you got 19, this is probably the set of parentheses you forgot. You have to have the -1 inside the parentheses and the square on the outside. This piece is very important, that it's on parentheses and the square is outside.
It basically does the same thing as
Yeah, this one also really doesn't simplify well, so we're just going to kind of fill it in and call it good. So we're going to have our opposite of B. We're taking the opposite of our -1 plus or minus the square root of our discriminant. Thank you, Chris. Over 2 times our A, which is 5. So we're going to simplify. Honestly, none of these are really going to simplify much. Thank you very much. So when you type it in the calculator to simplify it, I think pretty much the only thing we're going to get is that this becomes a +1. Square root of 21 doesn't simplify, but our denominator is actually a 10. So again, simplified radical form is this, where we put it through the calculator and make sure that it is as simplified as it can be. If I need decimals, I split it into its two pieces and hit the two arrows to make it be decimally. But practicing that quadratic formula is one of those things that is good for us. Okay? Questions? Okie dokie. Put it back up. Yep. All right. Boop. Oh, come on, screen, do the thing. There we go. All right. So, we've got a test on Thursday. Chapter review is on my little table up by the screen if you don't have one. Work on it. I am going to get the answer key for it posted up here within the next 20 minutes. Who's up? Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Ask questions. Tomorrow, if we want to work through some together, we can absolutely do that, but I want you guys to try it first. Okay? So do the thing. Let me know if you have questions, but for the most part, this is your time to work on stuff.